In a dramatic turn of events, the European Union is unlikely to follow U.S. President Donald Trump's dramatic call for 100% tariffs on India and China over their continued purchases of Russian oil. According to a Reuters report, EU officials clarified that while Washington is pushing for punitive tariffs to cut Moscow's revenue streams, Brussels sees tariffs and sanctions as very different instruments, with tariffs usually imposed only after lengthy investigations that establish a clear legal basis. An EU delegation, which included the bloc's chief envoy on sanctions against Russia, traveled to Washington this week to discuss coordination on measures against Moscow, which continues its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. But one EU diplomat was categorical, saying there has been no discussion of tariffs on India or China. The diplomat noted the EU is in the final stages of negotiating a major trade deal with India, and imposing tariffs now could endanger that agreement. Another EU official went further, cautioning that such sweeping tariffs would be excessively broad and risky. They explained that Brussels finds it more practical to sanction specific companies or banks dealing with Russia, while leaving room to lift restrictions if those businesses cut ties with Moscow. Trump, however, has continued to press Europe, urging duties of up to 100% on both India and China as a way to squeeze Russian President Vladimir Putin, whose war machine remains heavily reliant on oil and gas revenues. For now, the European Commission has declined to comment, but it's worth noting that the EU has already expanded sanctions this July to include 2 Chinese banks and a large Indian refinery. Tariffs, on the other hand, have so far been applied only on Russian and Belarusian fertilizers and agricultural products. Interestingly, Trump's tone on India appeared to soften just days later. By Wednesday, he suggested he was seeking to reset trade ties with New Delhi, despite recently doubling tariffs on Indian goods to 50% over Russian energy imports. Prime Minister Narendra Modi responded positively, saying Indian and U.S. teams are working hard to finalize a trade agreement that could unlock the full potential of their partnership. He described India and the U.S. as close friends and natural partners, expressing optimism about the future of bilateral ties. On social media, Trump posted that he looks forward to speaking with his very good friend Narendra Modi in the coming weeks, expressing confidence that talks will end successfully for both countries. Modi replied in kind, affirming he too was looking forward to a conversation and committed to securing a brighter future for their people. This is the second cordial exchange in just 4 days, following Trump's public remarks on Saturday, where he called Modi a special friend and praised the India-US relationship. Their last direct phone call was in June, but signs suggest the lines of communication are warming up again. So while Trump pushes Europe for harsher measures against India and China over Russian oil, Brussels is charting its own course, prioritizing targeted sanctions and protecting trade diplomacy, especially with India. What happens next could shape not just Moscow's war chest, but also the future of global trade alignments. And before you go, make sure to hit subscribe to the Indian Express YouTube channel for more sharp analysis and breaking updates from around the world.